A lot of news tonight to get to. And in just a moment, Bill Maher will join us with his take on the mess here in Washington. President Trump, having had to deny being a Russian agent, spent the day hunkered down at one end of Pennsylvania Avenue with what is now the longest government shutdown in American history, with no end in sight. At the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue, his nominee for Attorney General, Bill Barr, told senators on the Judiciary Committee he wouldn't fire Special Counsel Robert Mueller without cause. But he also declined to promise to share Mueller's report in full with Congress and the American public. The hearing comes just days after a bombshell New York Times report that the FBI had been scrutinizing whether the president could be an agent of a hostile foreign power, Russia. At the White House today, President Trump met with House Republicans to discuss the shutdown after a group of congressional Democrats rejected his invitation to even meet with him. To hear the president tell it, he spent a lot of time at the White House waiting for Democrats.
Well, I haven't actually left the White House in months, and I've been here virtually every night, I guess every night, other than one day I flew to Iraq and then to Germany to see our troops. So I flew and then came back. I'm not even sure I actually missed a night per se, but basically I've been here for many months in the White House.
I didn't even find it to be a lonely place. There's something very special about the White House. But I was here Christmas. I was here on New Year's Eve. I was here on Christmas evening. I was all by myself in the White House. It's a big, big house, except for all the guys out on the lawn with machine guns. And I was in the White House all by myself for 6-7 days. I was very lonely.
Really? Anyway, the Associated Press reports the president is baffled that he's not getting more credit for staying put. And while the Washington Post notes the president has been isolated in his residence in recent days and prone to flashes of frustration about his inability to get Democrats to buck. I'm joined right now by Robert Costa, national political reporter for the Washington Post. How is it getting to him, or is it that he's been accused by the New York Times, the paper of record, and the Washington Post in another way, of being a Russian agent? How's he dealing with that?
Inside the White House, he's frustrated. Spoke to Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana, Republican, today at the Capitol. He says the president's digging in more and more on his border wall, on this shutdown, under siege from not only the shutdown, but the story about Russia, his interactions with President Putin, and the FBI investigation.
What's that? Is there a cabin fever? He reminds me of a kid who's been home on snow holiday for about 2 weeks. What's he do?
It's more than a cabin fever. It's about a dysfunction inside of this government, an inability to govern. I was at the Capitol talking to senators. They say they don't see any way this president breaks. They think TSA agents have to maybe somehow walk out of their jobs to force the public to get furious. And some bipartisan senators are trying to come up with a deal. But there's not a lot of optimism because they know this president is isolated inside this White House.
Well, the sad joke here is that he started this whole shutdown because Rush Limbaugh and Ann Coulter said he had to. He's like, to make a little pun here, he's doing the Limbaugh. I mean, it isn't like he had a strategy, was he? Did he know what he was doing when he shut down the government?
He's watching the Barr hearings. He's watching the New York Times story and the Washington Post reporting all over cable TV about Russia. And he's saying to his advisors, I need my base with me in 2019. Whatever happens with the Mueller investigation, subpoenas flying with House Democrats. That's why he's really going to this base. It's not just about the border wall. It's about divided government and being all the problems that lie ahead.
Has he ever faced somebody like Pelosi? Nancy Pelosi came out there, and she came out there as tough as any political leader I've ever seen and said it's an immorality to build that wall. She said unconditional surrender is basically what she said.
A different dynamic of his generation. You don't notice a nickname for Speaker Pelosi from the president. He gives almost everybody else on the Democratic side a nickname, not her. She's a powerful person in this new Washington. He's still grappling with how to handle.
Has he met his match?
At this moment, she's not budging as much as he's not budging.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.